Silent your phone as well. Good morning, viewers, and welcome to today's episode on NIMASA podcast. I remain your humble host, Chukuma Mogalu. Today being the 22nd day of September 2023, we will be discussing a very important topic, the blue economy. I have live here a guest with me, a very special guest, but before I introduce my guest, permit me to give you a little background on our topic, the blue economy. Do you know that 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, and 97% of that water is found in our oceans? Professor Gunther Pauli, Antwerp-born economist, entrepreneur, and author, introduced the philosophy in 1994. The IMO, the International Maritime Organization, states that the sea facilitates 70% by value of our trade and 90% by volume of our trade. Join me as I welcome my guest, Dr. Awwal Bamanga. Dr. Bamanga is an expert in blue economy, and he will bring us to bear, he will let us understand what the blue economy is, and bring us abreast to things that concern us with regards to the blue economy, and of course, what our agency, NIMASA, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, has achieved so far in the blue economy. Welcome, sir. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir, please, can you tell us, so for a lot of our viewers, when they hear the word blue economy, the word particularly blue, what comes to mind is the ocean, the water. And I'm sure a lot of people will be so eager to know what we're talking about today and get to understand our topic. So let's start with probably a definition of what the blue economy is and what it means to us.
Thank you, Chukuma. Blue economy is a global word, and there are different bodies that define the concept of the blue economy. The World Bank, the European Commission, the United Nations, and the Commonwealth, including the Center for the Blue Economy. And they define blue economy as a sustainable use of ocean resources and at the same time preserving the health of the ocean for sustainability. And the different definition by different bodies has a key word known as sustainability, how you utilize the ocean, either exploration, exploitation, and preserve the health of the ocean for sustainability. There are a lot of benefits from the blue economy. One, it gives us employment and job creation. It gives us food, including the seafood, which most of the population of the world depend on it. It also gives us opportunity for ecotourism, for leisure and ecotourism. It gives people employment, and people need to go and have their leisure time around the oceans. It also serves as a place where it mitigates carbon capture. I'm sure you're aware of the climate change issue.
Correct.
The ocean is very key in absorbing this carbon dioxide and store it, mitigate it so that it won't be having a kind of global warming in the atmosphere. So it's very essential, blue economy, because of its potential in marine resources.
Correct. So talking about that, you said a lot about, the value of the ocean to us and, how blue economy plays a role to ensure that, for it to help in climate change, it means these are things that has to do with our daily living. Sure. These are things that has to do with human life. So we must endeavor to do a lot to protect it, because as we protect it, we protect human life. Can you tell us some strategies of blue economy? What are the strategies of blue economy?
Yeah, the blue economy has a lot of strategies, and the strategy is one, to secure. You have to secure the ocean before you can now enhance or get the benefit. One of the strategies is security.
Okay.
You have to secure the entire maritime domain. And I will digress backwards more.
Okay, correct.
One of the key components of the blue economy is marine and shipping. It's integral because of its components. And let me mention those components of the blue economy. The ecotourism is one of the components. The mineral exploration is one of the components. The aquaculture is one of the components. The mariculture is one of the components. Shipbuilding is one of the components. But marine and shipping sector is the most integral component of the blue economy. Why? Because it linked with other components of the blue economy. For example, if you are doing mineral exploration, you are exploring oil, you need shipping to move that oil product from the point of exploration to point of storage,
Correct.
or even to consumption. If you are doing ecotourism, you need cruise ships, the small boats, to cruise, which is also part of the shipping. If you're also doing ecotourism or you're doing fishing, you need fishing trawlers, which convey your fishing or fish from where you fish to a point of where you want to store, or eventually where you can take it for consumption. So shipping and marine transportation is very integral in the concept of the blue economy, and it plays a bigger role than any other component of the blue economy. And I can tell you why the maritime industries remain the custodian of the blue economy in Nigeria is because of their co-mandate. The co-mandate of the, particularly, although we are coming to that, is ensuring safer and cleaner ocean.
Correct.
Which is a concept of blue economy already. And that mandate is derived from the IMO, which is the International Maritime Organization, which you have just mentioned. The IMO also drive that mandate from the United Nations. And the United Nations has the law of the sea. We call it the United Nations law of the sea, which is basically about safety and prevention of marine pollution. Because if the ocean is not there and people who are operating in the ocean are not safe, then there's no concept of blue economy again. And that is why I say that the IMO and the maritime industry remain the custodian of the blue economy globally.
Correct, correct. You know, you mentioned about the UN. That brings me to the UN Sustainable Goal, I think 14, that says life underwater. So it shows you how much everything is intertwined. Okay, let's come down a bit to us, to the agency, you know, NIMASA, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. What, like you said, you know, we have in our mandate to ensure safer, cleaner oceans. What would you say are NIMASA's achievements as of today? What have we achieved, particularly the JAMO-led administration of NIMASA? What are our achievements in the blue economy?
Thank you very much. The agency has achieved tremendously. And like I said earlier, because of its mandate, it's already in, and you can see from the strategy of Deep Blue Sea, which is commendable. They recognize that there's no way we can drive blue economy without the ocean being secured.
Safety.
I can give you an example. If you are doing mineral exploration, and piracy will go and kidnap you, then you know that that blue economy in that sector cannot be achieved. So what the agency did is that either in shipping or trading, let's first of all secure the territorial waters. Now, they put on strategy. We already have that mandate. But the strategy they brought is the Deep Blue Sea, which is having the entire Gulf of Guinea in their hands secured and watching whatever security challenges that will happen. They can now tackle that issue. It's one of the strategies. The second strategy, the agency has established what is known as Environmental Sensitivity Mapping Index. Let me digress on that again. Sensitivity Mapping Index is a specialized map that will guide in identifying the sensitive areas of the marine environment, particularly where oil is going to impact. And you know, one of the major threats of the marine environment today is oil spillage. Now, that oil spillage, the fate of the oil is that it doesn't stay in one place. It moves. So what are those areas that it's going to confine itself, like the mangroves area? The agency has established the ESI map. And that ESI map is served as a tool for monitoring this oil spillage and the fate of this oil spillage in marine ecosystem, including bioremediation, including compensation in case there's damage of that oil spillage. So the ESI is the tool that can tell us that yes, this place is sensitive and it's a breeding area whereby the oil spillage has impacted. And this is the first step to know whether you can be compensated or not. The third one, the agency has also established marine protected areas. Now, it's not all part of the marine environment that you utilize.
Yes.
We need to have some areas that are restricted.
Gray
even
areas
for
that has
fishing.
to be. Okay.
Even for fishing, you need to restrict. Because you cannot just have all your ecosystem, for all
Exploited.
economic activities, fishing operation, oil spillage, ecotourism. So we have designated some marine protected areas along the Nigerian coastline, from the western region to the eastern region of the Nigerian coastline. And don't forget, Nigerian coastline is the biggest within the coast of West Africa.
Correct.
And we have high concentration of mangrove area, particularly in the Niger Delta, and that's why we have oil deposit in the Niger Delta. It's because of the deposit of the mangrove area within the African context.
Correct.
Yes.
So we see the NIMASA is actually doing a lot and doing quite a lot to ensure that the blue economy thrives.
Yeah.
You know, so now we've been able to look at a few of NIMASA's achievements in the blue economy space. But in the course of your conversation, you talked about, you know, everything intertwined.
Yes.
Everything intertwined. So as long as this aspect is being ensured and safe, it translates to the other aspect of every other thing. So now let's come back to what are the threats?
Yeah.
What threats do we face when trying to accomplish, you know, all these achievements in ensuring the blue economy thrives? What are the threats? Now let's look at it holistically as a nation. What threats does the country face in, you know, achieving the blue economy?
Thank you for this question. The threats, I will start from the global threats. One of the major threats is the climate change. The climate change issue is a global threat to blue economy. It amplifies all other aspects of the blue economy.
Yeah.
For example, sea rise.
Okay.
I'm sure you heard of sea rise.
Yes.
It's caused as a result of climate change.
change.
Yeah. Emissions from the ships is also contributing to the climate change. Now, one of the things that the IMO is doing, and including NIMASA, is how we can reduce that emission from ships. The United Nations has already identified and says that carbon emission from the shipping industry is contributing to climate change.
Okay.
And it's a major threat. It's associated with all other components of the components of the blue economy. So climate change is a major threat. And the second threat, like I said earlier, is the maritime security. Without security of the maritime domain, then there's no way you can improve on the blue economy. And the third threat is the pollution. And I can call some few major pollutants, the plastics.
Okay.
Plastics in the ocean is a major threat to the blue economy.
Okay.
Now, what the agency is doing now, the agency has established Marine Litter Action Plan in conjunction with other relevant agencies, given a 5-year program, how we can tackle these challenges of plastics in the ocean.
Correct.
The fourth one is awareness. Now, people, especially the coastal communities, they need to get sensitized. And the agency is doing a lot of things because lack of awareness, again, is making the communities, they're not aware of their domain.
Yeah.
And even this plastic that we're talking about is coming from the coastal communities, which gets into the ocean. And I will tell you the consequences of plastics in the marine environment. It affects the marine biodiversity.
Okay.
It also introduces chemical pollutants like the remnants in the containers, which is toxic to marine environment. Now, the marine biodiversity I'm talking about, including fishing that we consume, will ingest this particular toxic components, which we consume the seafood, and it comes back to us. And that's the implication. One of the consequences today is cancer.
Yeah.
The cancer we are getting is from the consumption of seafood coming from the marine environment.
Unhealthy seafood.
Unhealthy seafood.
Polluted. Actually.
Yes. Then another thing again, which is a major challenge, is coastal resilience.
Oh, okay.
Coastal resilience. The coastal communities whose having effects of this climate change as a result of sea rise, it affects their socio-economic activities. It affects their livelihood.
Yeah.
Some of the fishermen have to go beyond the fishing boundary to get fish. It has caused a lot of coastal erosion.
Of course.
So this is the impact of the climate change as it affects other aspect of this socio-economic activity. So climate change is the major threat to the realization of blue economy. We need to do something very fast and quickly.
Okay, you know, in the course of your conversation, you said something about collaboration, and it kind of hits home. So I would like to ask, how do agencies that are rattled with the responsibility of protecting and advancing this blue economy, what would be your advice? How do you advise them to cooperate better to ensure, you know, these responsibilities are achieved positively?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I'll take you back to SDG. SDG 17 say that partnership is very important. Whatever you want to achieve, you do it in partnership. The agency is making its own effort to get across relevant agencies that has one or two things to do with the ocean around us. Okay. I can tell you one of the efforts. They are trying to bring the littoral states on board.
Yeah.
The littoral states start from Lagos to Cross River. These states are facing the Atlantic Ocean. They have their own share. So we are also going to collaborate with the littoral states. Okay. We also have other organizations that have a mandate of protecting marine environment, like Ministry of Environment, Department of Petroleum Resources, currently known as NUPRC. They also have their own because they regulate oil and gas. And I told you one of the components of the blue economy is oil and gas. But our concern is that when you're exploring the ocean, how are you going to make it sustainable? The key word in blue economy is sustainability. We cannot stop economic activities within our ocean. But like I said, shipping and marine transportation is integral to the blue economy drive, and the agency is implementing it based on that mandate. But she cannot implement it alone because blue economy is beyond maritime transportation and shipping. Other components of blue economy need to come together. So one of the recommendations I'm going to give at the moment is to have a policy document. Of course. We need to have a policy document. Now that we have Ministry of Blue Economy, we need a policy document that will integrate legal framework. And apart from the legal framework, that will bring all the littoral states on board to be part of that drive. The 8 states that we have as a littoral state should come as part of that policy document to drive. And then they have their own share. Each state will know the priority. For example, we look at Lagos, and the priority in Lagos may be waste management. That's what we are going to focus. Yes. When we move to Bayelsa State, we'll look at what is the priority of Bayelsa State. We incorporate into the blue economy concept. When you go to Ondo State, you can see they have a very large expanse of land, of water, which is fresh water. And what they need in that part of the state is transportation, which is the boats to access the high sea. This is the major threats there, which they need to be tackled to now incorporate into blue economy concept.
Where are we and how are we faring as a nation in regards to blue economy?
Yeah, I would want to commend the nation and the leadership and some of the institutions for recognizing the importance of blue economy. Yes, Nigeria has recognized that blue economy is key. It's key not only to the blue economy concept, but to the national economic development. So for that, I commend the nation and I commend the leadership, even for creating the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. I also commend our
come to that.
Yes, I also commend our agency for driving this blue economy concept. And like I said, based on the mandate of the agency, we're already keyed into blue economy drive. Right. So there are challenges. What we need to do now is to establish some strategies to drive this blue economy. And like I mentioned earlier, the strategies will start with the policy documents. We need a policy document that will guide, implement the blue economy. The second aspect is to establish the roadmap. Yes. The roadmap is very key. And we can going to have that roadmap within the short, medium, and long term. Correct. What we can achieve within the short term, medium,
and the long term.
And long term. Now, that policy document will also have a legal framework, because at the moment, there is no legal framework backing the blue economy drive. So we need that legal framework to be in that policy document.
Policy document,
yes.
the legal framework.
Yes. Policy document for sustainable blue economy.
Okay.
The legal framework will be a component of that policy document.
Okay. In that light of the legal framework, the policy document, as you said,
Yes.
what would you say? Recently there was a recent creation of the Marine and the Blue Economy Ministry.
Yes.
What would be your take? Do you think that would help in driving this policy, in the creation of this framework? Do you think it's a plus, it's a positive for those of us in this sector to have a Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy?
Yeah, very sure. The policy document, the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy should be the lead agency. If the ministry wants, she can designate NIMASA,
Of course.
based on its core mandate, to be the lead agency, and then incorporate other relevant organizations to establish that policy document.
Okay.
But it's going to be coordinated by NIMASA
Okay.
based on its mandate. And like I said earlier, NIMASA's mandate automatically makes her the custodian
Yeah.
of the sea.
Yes. Correct.
So you can see the protection of marine environment in terms of safety and prevention of marine pollution, which begins from the baseline water to EEZ, which is 200 nautical miles, and beyond, is under the NIMASA's jurisdiction mandate. So automatically she became the custodian of the sea. And if you remember earlier, I said that she drive that function from the IMO, and IMO drive that function from the United Nations,
Right.
who owns the sea. And like you said, 71% of the Earth's surface
It's covered in
is
water.
covered by water.
Correct. Okay, so that brings us to what are the benefits of blue economy? What are the benefits of blue economy?
There are a lot
General benefits,
Yeah, there are a lot of benefits of blue economy.
as much as we can go.
Yes, there are a lot of benefits of blue economy. Once we have sustainable blue economy, we're going to utilize the marine resources that are yet untapped. We have a lot of marine resources that are yet
Yet to be untapped.
Yeah, they're just there in the ocean. So we need to now enhance the exploration of these marine resources, which in turn will bring investment, because we may not have the technology.
Yes.
It will also create employment. And we're talking about a lot of Nigerians don't have employment. They will get employment within the maritime sector, particularly within the context of the blue economy.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Okay.
The third one, again, because they are yet untapped, we're going to use it to generate power. I'm sure you have heard of renewable energy. Renewable energy, you can get a lot of power generation from the marine ecosystem. But the marine ecosystem needs to be protected. We have to do it, we have to drive it simultaneously. Protection, exploitation, exploration, and at the same time, utilization. So we have to secure it to give us all these benefits. The benefits of power generation, the benefits of creation of jobs, the benefits of employment, the benefits of investment, the benefits of ensuring the boats building, like the cabotage that we're talking about.
Correct.
The blue economy is also one of the key platforms that we can now realize our cabotage. Now we can build our ships in Nigeria, man in Nigeria, trade in Nigerian waters, are registered in Nigeria, which will create a kind of economic empowerment to indigenous ship owners of the Nigerian origin.
Okay. So that brings us to this. Could we list a little of some of these resources found in our oceans?
Yeah.
And after listing them, let's talk about, for investors looking to come in, what would you advise? How would they come in? Where would they come in? And be part of this trade of in the oceans.
I will categorize these resources into two. We have the living resources, which include fisheries and agriculture, and some of the pharmaceutical things that you can use. And we have the non-living resources, which is energy, oil exploration, sea mining, and deep sea mining. These are the resources that we need to protect our, to promote our blue economy. Now, these resources are there in abundance in our marine environment. So once they are protected, once they are secured and protected, then the foreign investors, it will be attractive for foreign investors to come.
Not just even foreign, some indigenous investors too
Yes,
can also
even
key
the
in.
indigenous investors, the ocean need to be protected, secured, and protected. If you look at the foreign oil companies that are exploring oil in Nigeria, it's because the marine environment, this is just one sector of the blue economy. Things like Ajib, Mobil, they're all exploring oil in Nigerian deep offshore. That's where they explore the oil. And by 2050, 34 of the oil exploration will come from the deep sea.
Okay.
So the most important thing to attract the investors is the security of the maritime domain, which is number one.
So that
And
you
then
feel safe.
looking at the threats that also cause pollution. And like I said, if the marine environment is highly polluted or devastated, it cannot serve the purpose for the enhancement of the blue economy. Let's assume there are a lot of plastics, a lot of oil spillage in marine environment. There is no way it can support the sustainability of the marine resources.
Okay, correct. So talking about plastic,
Yeah.
and most of our conversations today has been intertwined with each other. Now, how do you relate our errors in the green economy? You get the errors we have in the green economy. How are they affecting the blue economy?
Yeah.
We're trying to throw light on this so that people can. I think this area has to do with a lot of individual roles and things we can do on our own to ensure that the errors of the green economy are no more transcended into the blue economy.
Yeah, good question, Chukuma. You see, we've been talking about blue economy. We're not drawing attention on the green economy. Yeah. Blue economy itself is a component of green economy. Now, we need to promote green economy to enhance blue economy. And what is green economy? Green economy simply is manufacturing, whether it's agriculture, whether it's you're producing anything, the byproducts of that goods need to be reused or recycled. In the first place, it will not get into the ocean. I'll give you an example with plastics. Plastics is the byproduct of green economy. Plastics are produced on the land, but it ends up in the ocean, and it's a problem in the ocean. Now, to avoid having plastic in the ocean, once plastics are manufactured or produced, after use, it should be recycled. So in the first place, it will not get into the ocean to cause havoc to the marine biodiversity. So promoting green economy is enhancing blue economy through proper waste management.
Yeah. Yeah.
So waste management is the key thing in the green economy, including carbon.
Correct.
Yes.
That's the marine litter we talk about.
Exactly.
Very correct.
And what makes plastic dangerous, like I said, is because of its non-biodegradability. It doesn't degrade easily. It can remain in the water for 200 years,
Yes.
floating, affecting the BOD, causing marine pollution, and remains there, even causing obstruction to navigation.
Yeah.
You can imagine the small crafts, boats. The plastic can hook into the
Their
engine,
engines, yeah.
yes, and cause accident. I'm sure you have seen some accident that's causing
Of course.
inland waterways.
Of course.
So some of these plastics contribute to it, particularly when they are moving in an odd hour in the night.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that being said, it means it's a collaborative effort.
Yes.
Everybody has to come, together
Yeah.
to ensure that the blue economy thrives.
Yeah.
Be it individuals, be it agencies of government, be it indigenous, people using the oceans and the waterways, be it those that even live within our coastal lines. We must, learn how to dispose our litters to ensure that all these litters don't end up in the oceans. Because at the end of the day, when they get into the ocean, you have them disturbing or kind of discrediting the marine life, which in return we go back there to fish and we still consume these products from the oceans. Well, so this is one other thing I came across: blue economy being a philosophy of zero emission research and initiative. Just a little bit light on that before we wrap up our program for today.
Yeah, good one. I said earlier that the climate change is the major threat to blue economy. And the United Nations has challenged the maritime industry, says that what are you doing in your industry? And IMO, in its pragmatic efforts took it up and said that we must focus on reducing greenhouse gas emission from the maritime industry, particularly from the shipping, so that we can meet up with the target of zero net emission by 2030, 40%, and zero net emission by 2050. One of the strategies they brought is to ensure that the fuel, the bunker fuel that ships are using, is having only 0.5 sulfur content. And that is what the agency is enforcing, because the effects of the oil from the shipping industry is having high sulfur content. It's about 2,700 times higher than the automobile.
Correct.
So it's very heavy because the oil industry, the shipping industry use heavy oil. So there's a lot of emissions coming with high content of sulfur. So this is the first strategy. And there was a deadline for that. The IMO said that by 2020, all the fuel that ships are using must have 0.5% emission. Yeah. The next phase is looking at carbon capture. Now, for us to achieve in the carbon capture, whether it's carbon capture sequestration, we need to secure the maritime domain, marine environment, to ensure that it's not polluted, so that it can absorb this carbon dioxide and mitigate the global warming. So the agency has made efforts in ensuring that, well, fine, we have carbon energy fuel register to monitor. But one of the challenges we have here is that we don't have bunker station to monitor that 0.5% sulfur content from our own maritime domain. The only bunker station in West Africa is in Lomé, which is very far. Ordinarily, we're supposed to monitor that sulfur content from the bunker station, so that when ships fuel its oil from that bunker station, we know how much is the sulfur content. Understand? Now, the second thing that we need to embark on it is the research and development. Research is very key. We need to carry out research to have primary data for monitoring this pollution, for planning, looking at the future. Predicting. So we need research and development on board.
Which we must. We must look at the future.
We must look at the future. We must, and we need data. And like I said, we need to know how many ships comes to Nigeria with their emission quantity. We need to know so that we can plan.
More like permutations.
Exactly. The third one is the capacity building, because the world is moving. We need to also have our personnel trained to be able to cope with the new regulations, with the new technologies coming on board. We need to have that. And then sensitization or maritime awareness, not only to the stakeholders, to the coastal dwellers. Then the fifth one, looking at the coastal resilience, which is very important. The coastal resilience is that even if we're going to support these coastal dwellers, we need to see how they are suffering from the climate change.
Correct.
And the coastal dwellers are within our coastal communities, from the coastline, from Lagos to Cross River.
Correct.
So we need to identify where they are and what impacts coastal climate change is posing on their communities, on their environment, and what have you, so that we can come to their aid and help them from the maritime industry.
Okay, correct. So lastly, in line with the agency's mandate, what would you say, what should be expected of the agency, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, in achieving the blue economy? I think we should wrap up with that. In line with our mandate, what should people expect? What should, what are we going to do more? Or what are we doing now? And they hope to keep doing to ensure that blue economy is safe.
Yeah. What I would suggest, the agency should go into more of innovations, more of initiatives or innovations. And one of the things they should do is, one, to collaborate with research institutes or academia, whereby they will be conducting research on various sectors of blue economy, whereby the agency will be getting data.
Data is
and
key.
This data will help the agency in formulating policy, sector by sector. Because if you don't have data, you will not have an idea what kind of policy you will formulate. That is one. And then the second aspect, and like I said, the UN SDG 17 is saying about partnership. The agency will enhance its collaboration with other relevant sectors in promoting blue economy. What are those sectors? Sectors like the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Institute of Marine and Oceanography, other relevant agencies like Ministry of Environment, the littoral states, and even international bodies, yes, like the UN, to also access fund. There's a greener fund which we can use to complement in tackling some of these threats in achieving our blue economy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Having said that, thank you very much, sir. You have been listening to Dr. Awwal Bamanga, an expert in blue economy. So before we call it a day, let's bear in mind that blue economy is the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihood, and maximization of benefits while preserving the health of our ocean ecosystem. Please remember to subscribe to all our channels on YouTube, on Instagram, at NIMASA Official. And I'd love to see you when we come back again. Do have a great weekend. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
For having me on this platform.
Thank you.
Hope I try.